Alright, hello, welcome to True Furry Game Mod. This is Black Relic speaking. I'm going to be showing you a bit about my mod and how it works. I'm going to initially start with supply lines. Supply lines is a mechanic to help or diminish your requisition income or your opponent's requisition income. How that's done in a number of ways. Most common, you have multiple resource point or requisition points nearby each other. Boom. You get a requisition rate increase from both requisition points because you own them both. When the enemy has a requisition point that is near your requisition point, your requisition production from this point decreases. There is one other way to affect the requisition rate, and that is with this building, the astronomic array. This ray will increase the requisition income rate of all of your requisition points and decrease your opponent's requisition rate of his points. Now, there's normally going to be 2 of these per map. This is just a map specifically for testing purposes, to look around, look at tooltips, see if things work, see bugs, blah 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 blah. That's what this map is for. So it's not perfect, but just to show you what's up. Now, the astronomic array will also produce a small amount of resources, as you can see at the top. This resource rate will increase based on how many players are in one team. So if it's a 2-on-2, the resource rate from this point will increase. If it's a 3-on-3, the resource income from this point will increase. This point is also the only one I know of that can be destroyed. This can be disabled. The victory point from FFA, which actually works here, which is fantastic. But it's the only one that can be destroyed. When it's destroyed, it's gone. It is gone forever. So it makes it a secondary objective to try and harm your opponent's economy, or you can try and defend yours to keep your economy up and be detriment to your opponent's economy. Moving on from the astronomic array, since it is a stratagem, it will bring me to my next point, these stratagems. So these are all stratagems. All stratagems, with the exception of the astronomic array, produce red resource. It'll automatically produce a small amount of red over time. The Imperial Shrine will produce more red resources more than these two. Nearly double the amount of the automated foundry and the communications array, which gives it, to an extent, a slightly more... You want it a bit more than the others because you can spam your globals more often without having to always kill stuff, because it turns you into, like, similar to orcs, where of course you don't have the wall ability. With orcs, you can just spam wall without really having to worry about it too much, which makes the Imperial Shrine having these stratagems as orcs very useful. And oh no, I'm winning. I do not want to win. I don't want to win. Go over here and then destroy this for me, please. Each stratagem will also have a little node right here. I'm not going to capture this. What this node will do is it'll give it a second ability. I'm not going to activate this one because it'll make me win the game. What this node does is, for the Imperial Shrine, is it forces this point to become a victory point. What the communications node does is it increases the sight radius of all of your owned points, which means your requisition points now have a larger sight radius, so you can see behind your backline. Normally, whenever you don't have to activate the node, passively, this point will increase the sight radius of all of your infantry units, and this point has a slightly larger sight radius than normal points, as said in the tooltip. Oh, what? Fucking Eldar, man. The automated foundry is slightly bugged, but whenever I get around to fixing it, this is what it will do. It'll, whenever you capture it, all vehicles and buildings that you own or your ally owns will be repaired over time. Extremely slowly, but it will be repaired. And that could mean a big deal. In 5 seconds, over 5 seconds, you get 10 HP. That doesn't seem like much, but I mean, it's repairing that you don't have to do. You don't have to worry about doing. I'm actually considering lowering this number to like 1.5, in fact, or just to 1, but I'll get to that later. It's not something it's not like 100% needed because it's bugged. I haven't even fixed it yet. I haven't seen it in action really in PvP just yet, so I can't really make a assertion as to say this is OP just yet, but I have a feeling it might be. But until I fix it, I'm just leave it how it is. Its node is whenever you activate it, it turns all turrets under your control. If you don't own the turret, it turns it under your control. If it's uncaptured, it turns it under your control. I believe if this is destroyed, the turrets are not under your control. Or it actually might turn this on. But then after the ability ends, all turrets become disabled because these generators automatically turn off. So yeah, that's what happens. These turrets, will also mention, they do not do an insane amount of damage. It's just extra damage that you could use. It's just extra damage that if you need, you can have, because all you have to do is capture this. Now, it may not do a lot of damage, but over time, if you can force an engagement at a certain area, it'll do a decent amount. As you can see, about 15 DPS or 15 damage over each burst. That doesn't seem like a lot, but over time it'll add up, especially if you have additional forces shooting at them. Let's take these guys and shoot at them. Oh, the turn even took him out. It's funny. But that's extra damage that I didn't have to do or risk bleed for, because these don't bleed. So yeah, but the turrets have a extremely small sight radius. This is to try and help turrets not be as annoying, but also kind of force a player to quote unquote man it. Mainly just give it sight radius so it can shoot and can see and whatnot. I think it doesn't seem too bad. It's more of an annoying thing than ever, these turrets. But I feel like keeping it in the game because it's somewhat like a psychological stress that I kind of enjoy, because it's another thing that you have to worry about and whatnot. It's another thing to either help defend or help push if you end up capturing it, which is nice. Which I actually forgot to mention, whenever you do activate this node, these points have their damage increased. Just heads up. And they can also, and their sight radius increase. It makes them not manned anymore. Think of it like overclocking the turrets. They just perform a heck of a lot better, but at the cost of overheating and later being disabled. And I believe that's all of the points I have mentioned. I've mentioned the forward base with all its different points, armory, barracks, military support building, increases pop, provides a healing aura, and a small amount of resources to offset the upkeep you'll encounter whenever you, because of the increased pop cap. Machine Cult repairs vehicles and spawn vehicles from them. Supply Depot, you can trade resources at this point. It will spawn containers that you can shoot. Then, that you can shoot. It'll destroy the crate, and a resource thing will drop, and you can pick it up. Note: only the player that shoots the resource will benefit from picking up the resource. What I mean by that is, if I destroy this container, and the resource drops, but you as a player go and pick it up with your mouse, you don't get the resources, but neither do I. It's technically like you're denying that resource if you're fast enough, if you pay attention and whatnot. What this point will also do is it will allow you to spawn. Actually, I think I'm wrong on the military support building. Yeah, okay, so it only produces pop and a healing aura. To get the requisition increase to kind of offset the pop cap, you need to get the supply depot. The supply depot will produce a small amount of requisition. So you can trade resources at it, you can build generators at it, and it'll slowly spawn crates where you can shoot to gain additional resources from. That's your supply depot. Pretty important in my opinion. Very nice to have. Command station, just really basic. It can sometimes produce extra resources or extra red, and you can also spawn occasionally units. This one specifically allows you to spawn the chaplain and the librarian and the land raider, but we'll get to that later. Now, I will mention this really quick. Each forward base is different per race. So for the forward base for the Marines, for Space Marines, I can spawn units a fair distance away, and it won't cost me any extra requisition or power based off of their normal cost. So Assault Marines cost 475.50. Assault Marines here 475.50. However, because I can call them out to a fair distance away, it costs red to be able to use to call them down. Now, for the most part, most races, it's just it costs more requisition, and or it costs more power for you to produce them, and or it costs yeah, that's it. It just costs extra resources, but it offsets how much. Like, if you need it right now, let's say I needed like the Devastator Squad right now, instead of waiting for 24 seconds for it to produce and then walk over there, I need it there now. Boom, I have it there now. But again, you lose slightly more resources than normal, unless you're Space Marines. You just lose red, which honestly, if you have Imperial Shrine, probably not going to be a big deal. But that's the mod. Oh, before I go anywhere, actually, there's two new different types of cover. Infiltration cover, as you see here, and then negative cover. Negative cover is not represented in this map, but negative cover is represented by water, similar to Dawn of War 1. You go in it, boom, you get the buff. Or, not the buff, the debuff, which is 20%. You take 20% more range damage whenever you're in negative cover. Again, represented same way as Dawn of War 1. Water. This is infiltration cover, as it sounds. This is not copy and paste from Dawn of War 3, please do not mention that. Vehicles cannot infiltrate in grass. I believe that's illogical, which is one reason why Dawn of War 3, in my personal opinion, was kind of dumb, because it just defied any type of logic. Even though it's a 40k game, you need to have some sort of logic there. Having an Imperial Knight inside of smoke, so just a small amount of smoke like this, and then it can be considered as obstructed and hidden. Ridiculous. It's freaking 20 stories high. I can see it. Anyways, Infiltration cover, when you walk into it, you're infiltrated. When you walk out of it, you're slightly infiltrated for a small duration outside of it. When an enemy unit gets too close, say the proximity of this power node next to these tactical marines, the tactical marines will de-infiltrate. You do not stay infiltrated when enemy units get too close to you. It's not going to be like you go, I'm inside the infiltration cover, I'm going to have units go inside the infiltration cover to see them. It's not going to work like that. You go near them, boom, you can see them. So that's the 2 different types of cover, the basic rundown on supply lines, the 4 bases and stratagems, as well as the turn positions. And yeah, I'll go into specifics for each race later on. Thank you for watching.